Joining us now to discuss this, Tal Heinrich, a contributor at Quick Hits. Tal, good to see you. Why do you think de Blasio is taking such a tough stance against the Jewish community during the crisis? It's not the first time.
It's not the first time, but there is a difference between the two tweets. The one from a few weeks ago following the Brooklyn funeral ceremony controversy and the one that he just tweeted this week following the yeshiva school incident. I think this time the mayor was more specific, and it's really important. He singled out one specific school in the Jewish community as opposed to singling out an entire community as it did a few weeks ago, which was a mistake in my opinion. Because if you want the Jewish community to help you in conveying your message, which is important, it saves lives, then you should not be targeting the community as a whole. So personally, I do not agree with Ted Cruz on this stance because there's nothing to investigate here. The DOJ shouldn't be investigating. Schools should be closed. This is the executive order. This is a state law right now, and there's no exception. A yeshiva school, that's an important matter, as you brought it out. It's also a religious institution because they teach the Torah there, so it can be regarded as both. But either way, it should not have been open. I think Governor Cuomo said that the rule right now is that you can only hold religious services of up to 10 people. And when the NYPD showed up at the school, they saw something like 60 students there. Now, I've seen some conflicting reports whether or not they really did maintain social distancing guidelines and if they were wearing masks or not, but it doesn't really matter. It should not have been open in the first place. They can try to change the rule. They can advocate. They can go to the press. They can protest. They can lobby. But as long as this is the executive order, they should abide by it.
There's a bigger story here, though, and I think it's that people they realize we know what to do now. We know how to social distance. We know we have to wear a mask. We know we can do these things, but we have to get back to teaching our kids, getting them back in these religious practices, how much is too much, and especially in a city that doesn't hear much about an end to this lockdown in the country's biggest city, Tal.
It's a bigger question, and we should be asking these questions. But I also want to point out, because you asked specifically about the Jewish community before, and I can tell you that following the mayor's first tweet on the community during the pandemic, these questions were raised. Would the mayor have singled out or dared to single out a different minority group or a different religious group if that would have been the case? And to that question, my guess here is no. And you know why, Sean? Because the Jewish minority, just like Asian minorities in a sense, is not usually protected under what we call the umbrella of political correctness. So probably there are some socioeconomic reasons behind that, but that's not the issue. The bottom line is that you expect to see some consistency from somebody, from a lawmaker who usually takes the extra mile in order not to offend groups in our society. So when you don't show this consistency, when you don't keep up with that, then you shouldn't be surprised if you're being called a racist. And yes, these questions, the larger questions, as you point them out, should be asked. Maybe it is about time to hold religious services. Maybe it is about time to reopen schools, but there is a way to do it.
Right. And I want to ask you about this, too. Do you think Mayor Bill de Blasio has been fair to the Jewish community? I don't want to forget about this community. I know you don't as well.
Well, he insists that he's been treating all communities in the city just the same, but there is a sentiment in the Jewish community that this is not really the sense. And again, they asked these questions after his first tweet. Would he have dared to point out to a different religious minority if that would have been the case? I don't believe so. Many in the Jewish community do not believe so. But again, you have to keep in mind that these Jewish Orthodox groups, the ones that we're talking about in Brooklyn, are not really a representative of the entire Jewish community. It's important to mention this because the bulk majority of the Jewish Orthodox community have taken very strong stances on social distancing, as long as they're and also their leaders. Some synagogues, from what I heard, are even taking the time with reopening right now in Long Island, although over there they can already start doing so.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming and talking about this. It's definitely an important topic to discuss here. That is Tal Heinrich. Good to see you. Thank you. Stay safe. We'll see you again. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.